Hey, Coach.
Yep.
How you doing? Thank you for allowing me to answer to question this. Boston has won 4 previous games against Philadelphia, and the Flyers have 6 players, regular players, on COVID-19 protocol. Does this ease things for you to keep dominating Philly?
Well, they're a good team. I think at home we caught them at the end of a road trip. And they're building. We had to come back in the last game. So I mean, they've been all. There was one game, like I said, we had our way, but they've been close games. The other ones, overtime, we got a power play opportunity. They're missing guys. We have 5 guys out from injury as well. So, both teams will be relying on depth and keeping it simple for the guys that are going in. So, should be a good hockey game. I wouldn't expect anything else. They're a real good team. I like to think we're a real good team. So, can't wait to get after it.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Matt Porter.
About a few of those guys, I think we saw Miller didn't make the trip. Is that true? And who's up from Providence? What is the lineup going to look like for tomorrow?
I think I caught your question late, Matt. Miller is not on the trip. Either is Krejci, either is Grzelcyk, Zaboral, or Kasha. Vakanainen came up and joined us. So we have 7 healthy D. He'll go in. Camphor will be our 7th. And what was the last part, Matt?
Just what the lineup's going to look like. Do you think Jack will play in the middle? Is he going to be on the wing? What's the thought there?
He'll probably play in the middle with Bjork and DeBrusque. That's how we practiced today. They looked really good. That would knock Freddie down. Corrali and Wagner, Bergie line would stay together. Obviously, with Kretsch out, we're going to leave Past up with Bergie and Marsh. Look at that down the road. And then that leaves Ritchie and Coyle and Smith that we liked at camp as well. So not a lot of difference for Coyle and Smith, a big winger. They've had Freddie there most of the time. Now they'll have Ritchie. So guys that, can occupy space. So, and then we'll see how the 3 younger guys do.
Our next question comes from Joe McDonald.
Hey, Coach, just curious your thoughts on the atmosphere there and the views and the rink, all that stuff.
Well, we didn't get to practice at the rink today, Joe. So I walked over with Donnie around 9 o'clock before everything got going. It looks great. The views are awesome. We've done a really good job, I think, with the, how they framed the rink with the scoreboard, and because obviously there's no stands, so sort of where the off-ice officials will sit, and so I think they've done a really good job in that regard. It did not go in the tents where the players will be dressing. I assume there'll be enough room for everybody. But it's not about that. It's about the game outdoors, hopefully a good conditions to play. I know when the sun shines, it gets a little more difficult on the ice. But, a sprinkle of snow here or there was always good. We had some this morning. I don't know if they're playing in it right now. I don't think so. We just got off the bus from the practice rink and it wasn't. But, yeah, the atmosphere is great. A lot of people in town skiing. So a real sort of winter feel. But once we get at it, I think it'll be easier to tell. It's disappointing we didn't get out there this morning just to have some fun, get out there in an outdoor rink. It's probably one of the best outdoor rinks ever built. So, but we'll see it tomorrow and then soak that part of it in.
Thanks, Joe. The next question comes from Kevin Paul DuPont.
Butch, a couple of things. Why were you not practicing outdoors today? What was the reason for that? And also, is there anything, if I remember correctly, what you talked about growing up in Ottawa, you were near a school where you played outside. Is there anything, I know you haven't had much of a look at this, but is there anything about this that's reminiscent of that, especially given the fact that there's no stands?
Not a lot. There was a schoolyard with a lot of cement. There was a church across on the other side of the street. You could see there was no mountains and no lake, unfortunately. But at the time, I did not care. I was just happy to get out and play hockey on a short walk from my house. We didn't skate there because we were told we weren't going to be allowed to. That was as simple as that. So I guess my assumption walking over there this morning at that hour when us and Philly would have been out was because of the snow. I think they were still trying to do some repairs to the rink. It hadn't been up that long, so they just felt it better off keeping people off it. It would be my guess. I didn't ask for an explanation. It happened at what do you call it as well? The day before at Notre Dame. It got rain, so families were able to come then. And that one I was disappointed. There was probably 100 people. We ended up having a family skate over at where the Fighting Irish play their college games, but not quite the same as being outside. So that's twice now we weren't able to enjoy at least a little day before atmosphere. But we'll get there tomorrow, and I'm sure it'll be great.
Thanks, Kevin. The next question comes from James Murphy.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good.
Good. I just wanted, obviously players approach these outdoor games. You kind of start to learn the elements out there, and maybe they prepare a little differently. And I'm wondering, as a coach, is there any way you coach differently considering the outdoor elements?
Well, I don't think you want to put too many different sort of packages in. And what I mean by that is Jimmy, is like, if you have power play, a couple of, breakouts and say, okay, we're going to do this, the adjustments have to be, I think, pretty straightforward because you don't know how the end boards are going to be. There's just some things you don't know. And it's the other thing here is the wind. There's some wind out there. So are you skating into it with it? Do they flip? So that kind of affects a little bit of, probably the pace of your game. Maybe you're just putting pucks into areas when you're downwind a little bit more than trying to make tape to tape passes, which I think is outdoor hockey a little bit anyway, because the ice gets bumpy no matter what, no matter how good a job they do. When you're dealing with elements, the sun might melt a spot or some snow accumulates. I think it's much more about straight lines and managing the puck because it'll be bouncing a little more. So I think to put in any sort of intricate neutral zone regroups or certain breakouts that allows, that relies on a lot of different puck movement, I think that gets difficult in these situations. Guys have, maybe their visors aren't as clear as they are normally because of the wind, because again, if it snows. So there's the vision element. So I think dumbing it down is probably the simplest way to go. And just, sort of guys get back to their roots as kids and just get out there and play hockey.
Thanks, Jimmy. The next question comes from Logan Mullen.
Hi, Bruce. Is Kevin Miller's absence health-related, maintenance? Can you shed light on that?
Yeah, he had not missed any time at all in terms of games. And this was just one of those where we thought there's a break in the schedule, a 6-hour flight, then a bus rides, both, Friday and Sunday. The travel, as I just said, and then to miss one game and get that week of sort of recovery would be well worth it. So it's one of those, I think that, load management they're using in the NBA. So we just decided it's a little bit sore. Why not let him, rest and recover? Misses out on obviously a great opportunity to play outdoors, but for the good of his season and the immediate future, let him rest a little bit. So that was the thinking behind it. We fully anticipate he'll be in the lineup in New York on Thursday and ready to go for us in practice when we get back to Boston.
Thank you, Logan. The next question comes from Dan Roche.
Hey, Bruce. You've been through this before with the Notre Dame game and everything else, and you guys won that game. How important is it, and what is the message from you as far as, you don't get many opportunities like this, let alone in the game, but in life, to enjoy something like this. But what's the message between enjoying as much of it as you can, remembering it, but also trying to get out of there with a win?
Well, part of that's taken care of, obviously, with the COVID procedures and protocols. We're not able to move around that much. So, I'm not worried about guys, going off somewhere and nature hikes or skiing, or not that guys would ski, obviously, but, something to that effect, maybe take a gondola up to the mountain. I think everyone knows you got to lay low. So some of that has already been instituted. As for when the puck drops, I think guys are just going to play hockey. They're going to play to win. As I said earlier, we'll probably just ask them to simplify their game and manage the puck because of the ice conditions. I suspect could be inconsistent, And also the altitude here, your shift length, you'll have to really take care of that because we're at a higher than what we're used to. So there's some of those things that we'll address more. But you're right. I think it's always a better memory when you win these. We did win at Notre Dame. I remember Sean Crowley scored a big goal for us. And so, just sticks with you longer if it's a success. So, but that'll be the message. The guys have been through it too, Dan. So they know as well what it takes. They've been through it at Fenway and Gillette, been on both sides of it. So I think they understand as well as probably more than I do. And that those veteran guys will send that message.
Thanks, Dan. We have 3 more questions for Coach. The next one comes from Chris Ryan.
Hey, Bruce, how are you? Wanted to ask a couple questions. First off, do you like the outdoor game mostly just kind of as a one-off, or do you like all the variables and different, thoughts and philosophies about how to go about playing the game more than the indoor side? And also, would you like to see something in New England perhaps moving forward in the White Mountains or Green Mountains and kind of create an environment where this continues?
Well, I like it because it's different. And they are memories. I mean, when you're in this game for a long time, the best memories are obviously Stanley Cups, right? Any player will tell you that. Playoff victories, the friendships you make in the game. So to me, these memories are good. So I enjoy doing them. This one was a little farther probably for us to travel in Philly than obviously Colorado and Vegas, but that's the luck of the draw sometimes. So for that part, I enjoy having them and whatever goes along with it, which is usually a positive experience. Your schedule gets thrown off a bit, like the game time, they've talked, changed it and looked at different things. And our practice, like I said this morning, you have to adjust, but that's fine. You just go out and, like I said, try to stay loose. And as for New England, I think like everything else, the first outdoor game probably gave a lot of different ideas to future ones, right? They see how it goes, like a lot of things. And it's like, wow, well, we could do this here. And so now you get an outdoor one with no fans. Would owners want to do that again when you have the ability to have fans after missing out on fans for this long? I don't know. That's a question that goes, higher up the food chain, but I could certainly see it being done in the future at places similar to Tahoe. Where those places are, I don't know. As for New England, they've had a number of games there, and then makes you wonder where would the next one be if it was, one with fans. So, and I think that they'd have no problem selling the game. So I think that's what they're also looking for. You want to be able to sell the game in the right environment. So, and New England's a hockey hotbed. So definitely worth the conversation down the road. But I do believe, let's see how this weekend goes. You will see more games like this without fans in a certain scenery. If like I said, everyone can agree on the process of no fans.
Thank you, Chris. We have 2 more for Coach. First up is Stephen Conroy.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Good.
Do you have any update or prognosis on Kretsch?
Kretsch will be day to day, lower body, aggravated something there. Again, with the travel, if we were going off to say a 3-game road trip, Steve, over the course of 5-6 days, I assume Kretsch would have came and sort of worked his way back. So he's another one I would assume different than Kevin because he had to leave the game. So I'm not going to say they're the same, but also when you're managing because of the situation, the travel involved for 1 game. And I suspect and I hope that he'll be joining us next week in practice. But that one's a little less clear. I'll say that till we get back. But I know Kevin will be joining us and Kretsch, what I was told, it wasn't that serious, so he should be.
Thanks, Steve. The last question comes from Connor Ryan.
Hey, Bruce. I know Jack hasn't seen a whole lot of time at Senna up at the NHL, but putting him with a couple of fast skaters and Bjork and DeBrusque, do you feel as though that's the kind of combination you're looking for that kind of complements Jack's style of play and might get him going a little bit?
Well, I don't know, honestly, because he hasn't played that many games in the middle for us. So who best fits with him? That sometimes happens really quick. Sometimes it takes a while to figure it out. I just like that they all have young legs, especially in an environment like this where they might be skating into the wind. Maybe, that'll counter some of the, Philly speed coming at you the other way. And it's a little bit of, the search goes on, right, for the lines and what we're looking for, because there's another injury that takes us out of sort of what we had planned to do. So there's a little bit of that goes involved. And then the last part with Jack is in the middle is there was no room in the middle when he got here, yet we felt he looked good in training camp. So do you put your, one of the players that you thought was playing well and move him to position, or do you wait? So we put him there, and he got injured, unfortunately, but he's fine now. We always thought if Berge or Kretsch missed some time, typically over the last few years, they've missed some games here or there, that Jack would be the guy that would get an opportunity to go in there. We felt our team would be strong enough around him, not just his line, but in general, the decor, the goaltending, and right now we are. So that those are all the things that goes into it. Who his line mates are was a little bit of, okay, well, who would he be best fit with? We thought speed would be a good thing. Could we have left Richie down there and DeBrusque up with Coyle and Smith? There's some different things you go through, but we'll put three younger guys together. Jake becomes the older guy in the line. Maybe that'll empower him a little bit as well to lead. We're looking for him to get going too. So maybe that type of line, he'll take a little more control of it. No, so who knows? There's some different things that go into your thinking all the time. You never know till it plays out. So we'll see. It'll be one game. We'll go from there. If Kretsch is back, we're kind of back to where does he best fit, but let's see how it goes tomorrow. And then evaluate, on Monday.